Hello friends, welcome back. In this video, we are going to see how can we compare our changes from working directory to staging area, at the same time staging area to local repo, or else working directory to local repo. So how can we do those comparisons? First, let's start with the comparison between the working directory to staging area. Nothing but we have 4 files in our working directory. We'll modify and we'll send couple of files into staging area. Then again we'll modify and see the comparisons. Anyway, I'm going to show you with an example how we can do that one. So this is my Git repository. So far we have 4 files over here. Let me clear the screen and pwd and ls. So 4 files we have. Now I'm going to update couple of files. Nothing but file 1 and file 2 I'm going to update. Let it be file 3 and file 4, and we'll add these 2 files to our staging area. Okay. For that I'm just going to update vi file 1, or else I can go here and open in a notepad and I can update. That also I can do. Okay. So anyway, vi file 1, and here, so this line is 1 is there. I'm just going to update the typo. This is line 1. Nothing but I have done some changes, and if I do git status now, earlier we were not having any updated files. Okay, now we have updated it. So it is identified that there is a file updated in the working directory, but it hasn't added to the staging area. Even I want to update file 2 as well. So what I will do, I will rename the file 2, because it is file2.txt instead of file2.txt. I'm going to make it as a just file 2. Now git status again if I do, but this time instead of it to treat it as a updated one, it thinks that we have deleted file2.txt and we have created file 2. That is how it thinks. But anyway, our motto is we would like to add couple of files to our staging area. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to add these changes to staging area. I can add these changes to staging area at a go, that is git add minus minus all. Okay, this is one command, or else git add dot, or else I need to give the each file name. So git add minus minus all, because we have used git add dot in our previous lecture. Okay, so now let's execute, and if I do git status, now you can see here renamed, it identified after adding it to the staging area that this file file2.txt has been renamed as a file 2. Okay, so now these 2 files are there in the staging area, which means that we have pushed these changes. For time being, we just leave the file 3 and file 4. So we have pushed our changes to the staging area. Again, I am going to modify file 1 and file 2. Then we'll compare with the staging area files with our local repository. Okay. Now again, I am going to modify my files, that is vi file 1, or else I am going to add. Okay, let me try to update from my Windows system itself. So for that, let me open it. Come on, open with notepad, and here line 1 is there. Okay, it is not taking it as a different lines. Now let me add it as a, this is line 3. Okay, that's it, and control S, close this one. So we have updated file 1. Now I am going to update file 2 as well. Open with notepad plus plus. Okay, this is the text file we have added in previous lecture. Now I am going to remove this line and save this file, because we have removed extension as well. Now let's go back, and if I check git status, now you can see, okay, 2 files are there. You can see file 1 and file 2 is there in the staging area as well as in the current working directory. Nothing but these changes are not yet tracked by our staging area. Okay, so initial changes are tracked, and whatever changes just now we have done, those changes are not yet updated in our staging area. Now how can I compare these 2 files? Nothing but these are staging area files, these are working directory area files, right? So for that we can use a command called git diff. Okay, git diff, what does it do? It is going to take the staging area files and the current working directory area files, and we'll see what changes we have done. Okay, that is what it is going to do. And to better understanding, you just think that this is version 2. Why? Because version 1 we have already updated in our local repository, and think that this is version 3. So now you can use git diff command, and we'll see what is the output we are going to see. You just see here what happened. It is comparing the file which is there in the working directory to the file which is there in the staging area. B stands for staging area. And you just see here, this is line 1. We have added one enter in our notepad, right? That treated it as a plus. And we have also added line 3. So we have added 2 lines. That is what it is trying to say. So extra 2 lines are added in the working area file. Similar way, if I compare with the file 2, one line has been deleted in the working area file. Working area file nothing but red color files. Okay, so that is what happened. Nothing but in version 3, these additional changes we have done. Whenever there is addition of a line, it will appear as a green color. Whenever there is a deletion, it appears as a red color. Okay, so this is how we can compare working area directory files with staging area files. Now I would like to compare the files which are there in my local repository with the staging area files. Means same file 1 and file 2. File 2 is not there anyway. File 1 is already there in our local repository, right? But file2.txt is there in our local repository. To compare with the local directory repository with our staging area, then we need to use a command called git diff minus minus staged. Okay, so git diff minus minus staged. Now let's execute this one and we'll see what will happen. You can just see here, it is comparing only file 1. Yeah, even it is comparing with file 2 as well. Okay, it identified the file 2 as well. Anyway, you can see here file 1. In file 1, what we have done, it is comparing with the what we have committed in our local repository with the file which is there in the staging area, not in the working directory area. In working directory area, we have added one more line, right? This is line 3, but that is not tracked. Why? Because it is comparing with files which are there in the staging area with the files which are there in our local repository. These two it is comparing. So here in this file we were having this line 1 is there because there was a typo. This is line 1 was not there. So this line 1 is there and also this is line 2. That two lines were there in the file 1. But here we have updated the typo. So updated one it is going to compare. Similar way file2.txt is there. Here we have modified file2.txt to file 2. That is the reason it is showing those two differences. Now you can see here we have removed the this line 1 and we have updated that with the this is line 1. That is how it identifies. And last one space was extra there in the previous one that we have removed over here. That is how it identified. Okay, so now the comparisons are happened with the local repository with staging area. Okay, so this is how we can compare working directory area files with staging area and staging area files with local repository. To compare with working directory area files with staging area, then we can just use git diff. Whereas if we want to compare with the staging area files with local repository, git diff minus minus staged. That is the command we need to use. We have one more command, that is git diff minus minus staged head. Okay, so this also similar way, same whatever output we got with the git diff staged, same thing we are going to get, which means that find out the differentiation between the stage and the head nothing but with the repository. Now let me pull it little bit and try to execute this command again. You can see same output you could see. Now one last thing I want to do, that is I would like to compare with the working directory with the local repository. Nothing but whatever changes I have done over here and what are the commits I have done, I would like to compare these two. If you do remember, in file 3 over here we have 3 lines. Here we have 2 lines, but one line is with typo. So this line 1, this is the entry is there in the file 1, and here file 2 as file2.txt, here it is file 2. So I don't think so file 2 it is going to compare, but let's see how does it work. So git diff just head. Okay, so which means that if I give git diff, it is going to compare with the working directory with staging, right? If I give git diff head, it is going to compare with the repository rather than staging area. But anyway, you are going to identify what is head in the later point of time. But for now, just think that head means it is like a local repository. Now let me execute this one and you can see. So in file 1, it is identified that this line has been removed in the working directory area file, and we have added this, and also we have added one extra line, one more extra line over here. Similar way, it is identified that there is a file 2 a new file has been created because it thinks that file2.txt and file2 is both are differ. So in working directory, one new file called file2 has been created. At the same time, it thinks that file2.txt has been deleted, so it is going to delete. This is how we can compare our changes with working directory to staging area to local repo, and local repo to working directory. Okay, just quickly run through the commands what we have discussed so far. So the first command which we executed is git diff. It is going to compare changes of working directory with the staging area. Next, git diff minus minus staged. It is going to compare staging area changes with local repository. Instead of this command, we can also use git diff minus minus staged space head. That also works or give the same output. Next, git diff head, it is going to compare working directory with the local repository. That is how git diff commands are going to work. That's all for this lecture, and see you in the next lecture.